All right, same as last time. We'll just kind of wait till we get some viewers,
All right, all right, all right.
get some uh, get some people up in the chat. So
So how was your weekend?
the weekend that was, it was all right. We had a giant pine tree. So we had some gnarly winds come through and knocked a pine tree down, and it took out our power line. Which was fine because we were. It's funny because we were already outside for the whole day, the weekend really, um, taking care of three other trees that had fallen a couple weeks ago. So, but apparently a bunch of trees fell during the winds that we had this weekend, and the uh, the linemen were getting some good overtime.
You said it was fine.
What?
You said you're like it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. I mean, they came out pretty quick and had us up and running within a couple hours. But we
Oh,
were, like I
okay,
said, we were outside already for. We were outside anyways,
right.
so like we weren't affected by. Well, I guess so. I'm like I have a chainsaw, and I'm still cutting up all these trees, right? And mine's electric. It's like battery operated. One of the Cobalt, they're super nice. Like they work just as good as a gas powered. Um, But the problem is the batteries. They charge quick, but like if they're not charged, you can't use them.
Right.
Whereas a gas, you just pour gas in, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So. What about you?
Special family stuff. I went to a birthday party for my friend's son. I turned 4. Great kid. It was really cool. Cool vibes. Cool seeing everybody. My family came down. My mom and she brought my nieces. So I had a house full of kids. It was chaotic, man, but a good chaos.
Yeah,
And I enjoyed it.
cool.
Uh, Battery powered chainsaw.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I when I was doing my research, I'm the research like maestro. I love me some research. When I was researching chainsaws, spent literally days just like researching different types, and the battery operated was just like this guy who actually like runs a logging business. Like he reviewed it and was like, "This works just as good, if not better, than my gas." Just because like there's not as many things that can go wrong with it, and like when you're idling, there's no like right. It's just when you push the button, it's going. When you let go, it's not.
Right.
It's got amazing torque, obviously. So
I can't wait to see the Michael Myers movie where he has a electric chainsaw and he's trying to be scary, but he's just standing there and it's quiet.
or he goes to like finally get somebody. And he's like, "Oh crap, the battery ran
So
out."
I gotta charge this. He starts beating him with
Yeah. Well, we've had people come in and come out, so maybe we should actually talk about Jaguars. So
Oh, okay.
let's pause a second and then we'll get it started. Makes it easier for editing purposes. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to this week's edition of the Jaguars Fan Battle podcast show. I'll get that figured out one day. I am your host, Matthew Grieve. My co-host, Cody, over here. Say what's up.
Pretty cool gaming. What's up?
The Cody Cold Gaming. Um, yeah, so this week we're just here to talk about the week that was or wasn't, I guess, in regards to Jaguars news or the lack thereof. Any news on the Calais Campbell front, Cody?
So he did come down for a visit. What they said was they talked, and basically he said he wanted to see his other options that were available, which I mean there has to be plenty. Josh Allen joined in and said that he would really like him for him to come back. I can't exactly quote him, whatever it is. It's on Twitter if you want to see it. I just thought that was cool. some sort of like, old familiarity there. It's still around in the building. It's the only one. uh, so I'm still hopeful because it's like, if I was in that position, why wouldn't I want to go see other offers that were available? At the end of the day, this is a job. I mean, I get that, and I don't know if he's thinking about hearts and minds in Jacksonville. He probably should be because he won over a bunch down here, and I don't know if it's going to be like that anywhere else for him. But is that what he cares about? Is he getting to that point in his career where he's just all about money? We'll see. I mean, in time will tell on that. And he's a really great guy, a really great football player, and I would love to have him down here. But right now, it's just it's up in the air.
Yeah. So last time, just kind of a recap for the audience. Last week we knew he had come and visited, but everything that Cody just went over was kind of stuff that's come out since the visit. I wouldn't say it leaked, but just some information of how the specifics of the visit. What's going on, Brian? Welcome. What is up? Pretty boring week this week, I'll be honest, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not much to talk about, so. But welcome, nonetheless. So that's the Calais Campbell front. In other news, exciting, riveting news, our mid-season pickup of Calvin Ridley had some exciting news. He has chosen his number 0. In fact, he is the first Jacksonville Jaguars player to ever don the number 0 on the back of his jersey. What are your thoughts on that, Cody?
Is he the first one in the NFL to do it? Do we know that yet?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I didn't do the research, I'll be honest. But
I mean, that's I don't know. It's cool to me. I know, like, as a player, picking your number was like, oh, this is like a defining moment, and that you got to roll with it or whatever. But to have the first one, dude, I'd have been stoked, You
you Deion Sanders, right? Primetime, everybody knows
Deion
Sanders. You know how he's taken the job as the head coach at Colorado,
right?
So he has this social media team that pretty much follows him around all day, every day, and they've got some really awesome takes. As you can imagine, Deion Sanders is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He is prime time. He's fun to watch. But it's been really neat to, like, if you have TikTok or any of the social media accounts, they post up these videos. And it's funny that Calvin Ridley's number comes up this week because during this, I don't know if it was specifically this past week, but there was this TikTok that Deion Sanders that I had seen this week where he was talking to his players and they were talking about numbers. And he's talking about how numbers for players has changed dramatically from when he played to now. He said, players nowadays, they want to be, 2 numbers. He's like, back in my day, the only people that got 2 numbers were the kids that weren't going to see the field. He's like, and 0, he said, no one's going to have 0. You know what 0 means? That means you're 0. It means you're nothing. So he said nobody on his team is allowed to have the number 0. And the only person who gets number 1 is the number 1 player on his team. And I guess he's saving that for the quarterback.
Oh, I thought he was going to put it on.
I wouldn't be surprised. But he went on, like, pretty much saying 1 through 9. I think he said, like, 2 of them the coaches pick. And then, like, the rest is you have to earn it. And then if 2 players want the same number, then they have to, like, whoever's the better player gets the number. So it's not even by seniority. It's just if you're better, you get that number. So I just thought that was interesting that I had seen this week, and then Calvin Ridley comes out and wants to be 0. We all know how Deion feels about it. So how do I feel about it? I like Deion's take on it, but I've seen Westbrook, for the in the NBA. Why can't Russell Westbrook? Gosh.
Russell. Okay, sorry.
Keep on wanting to say D.D. Westbrook. That's what's throwing me off.
That's who I thought you were talking about.
Russell Westbrook, he runs the 0, and I don't know, it looks pretty cool in a uniform, but you kind of got to be really good, and which I think Westbrook is really good. So hopefully Ridley can make that 0
I
not just stand out for the fact that it's 0, but because he's good.
I think that for a wide receiver, 0 is probably the best number that you can get because it's literally a target.
Target.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
think
gonna
about it.
yeah, it's gonna be like painted on, like right there. Whatever, put it here, babe. And I wanted to go back to like picking your number thing. How it happened for me was I didn't go to the summer camp thing, so I walked in and there was like 2 jerseys left with 2 different numbers on it. Whatever. I mean, Deion Sanders has like there is like a structure to it. Um, like it was weird for me seeing like higher numbers on the offense than there was on the defense, like some points or whatever. And like my number was 96, and I was a defensive line, and that was like those between like 80 and 90, whatever was all defense. So for him to have like 0, that'd be like one right behind the quarterback. I mean, and that makes perfect sense for where it falls in line, whatever, and for it to be a literal target on his chest. So I think it'll work out.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. When I was in high school, I ran track and played soccer, and the track it was done by seniority. So seniors got the first picks, and then all the way down to the freshmen. And yeah. They didn't get new jerseys every year, so if you were a freshman, you
Coming in a
can
little muffled.
I'll have a muffle.
Yeah, there it goes. It's gone.
Is that better? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. And then when I played soccer, it was done by who caliber of player got to pick their number first. So, but yeah. So, anything else on the number picking? Any thoughts?
Oh, there were memes about it, like how many cornerbacks in the league are going to be able to cover Calvin Ridley. 0.
0. That's nice. I like that. I like that. Well, cool. You had alluded. So moving on, talking about the salary cap. The moves that we had talked about last week, since we've talked, they've become official and they have signed those individuals. I guess when I talked about picking up the running back D'Ernest Johnson, thinking about it since our last show, I think that was actually a pretty good pickup. Um, I kind of downplayed it because I feel like our offense is just so pass happy. How much is he actually going to contribute? I think he'll contribute a lot. I think what's nice about him is he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him, but he's got the veterans. He's got the snaps, the repetitions, and the veteran savvy, but he doesn't have the mileage on him that would come with other running backs that have been in the league for as many years as he's been in. So I think that'll do really well, and obviously the change of speed between him and ETN, I think that'll be really good.
So you think he's going to share touches?
I wouldn't say share because share would mean it's almost 50-50.
Right.
I think he will spell. But I think also what will help is last year, I think it'll help Trevor Lawrence because if you look last year, ETN actually didn't have a whole lot of touchdowns. And that's just because, again, when they were in the red zone, they kind of threw the ball a lot. Actually, they just threw the ball a lot no matter what part of the field they were in, but
Right.
especially in the red zone. And I think having another back like that in the red zone will help take some of that pressure off of Trevor Lawrence. Because we know last year and the year before, a lot of Trevor Lawrence's mistakes happened in the red zone.
Yeah.
So having something like that, I think will help.
Yeah. ETN's a speedy back that could slip through the gaps, and at the goal line, there's hardly any. So it would be more beneficial to have somebody like a Leonard Fournette when we did have him. He was killer in the red zone.
Yeah.
So if he turns out to be something like that, whatever, yeah, it's a really good pickup.
Yeah.
because that's points on the board, and that's where we missed a lot of games were by just a couple of scores, and we were in the red zone. We could have done something there, or whatever. So making sure that happens this upcoming year could be the difference.
Yeah. So that's it for the signings. They're just it's depth and rotation, which you can't ever have too much, especially when you're in our position. Winning, right? Winning is where we're at. We're not trying to fill holes. We're filling the space behind what once was a hole. Um, and you talked about this last week. I kind of just wanted to give you praise again for that. Catching Fadakasi's contract restructuring that helped free up 6 million. Who was it that had 6 million on their salary the year before?
Calais Campbell.
Calais freaking Campbell.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit more reading, and it wasn't just Fatukasi, but there was actually several other players that the Jaguars had restructured contracts with, including Zay Jones, Brandon Scherf, and Christian Kirk. So that leaves us roughly around $11 million in cap space to play with, and that does even take into account the draft picks that we have to pay. So
Right.
a lot of good things happen. I know people always talk. I know there were some Colts and some Titans, Texans fans that were dogging on us, saying, "Oh, you guys are gonna have to pay people. You're gonna lose people. You're gonna lose talent. Yada yada yada." There's no such thing as the cap. It's all mirage, right? It's just the. I mean, just look at the Rams. Now I know the Rams are kind of like deconstructing their team, but I don't think that's necessarily because of salary. It didn't work last year, so I don't know.
I don't know if it's this way for you, but this off season, I mean, of course, but this off season feels like a ton different. Like you're not winning this one, right? You know what I mean? This isn't our moment. This isn't our time to shine. This isn't where we get our hopes up and stuff. We got our hopes up when we were in the playoffs, you know, and now it's like things are just leveling out. And as long as they stay this way, you get a little bit of momentum towards the draft, and through that, um, then we're going to be able to show up on the field and do something magical again. I feel like, and that's a great feeling, man. It really is. I'm just now realizing like how good that feels as a Jaguars fan.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. It's nice not to have to like worry about winning the off season, right? How many years in a row have we you know, won the off season, not the regular season?
Yeah,
And as we know, as we all know all too well, that winning the off season does not mean winning the regular season.
like when we picked up Shaq Griffin. No, I'm just like I know how the season turned out. I know how the fiasco went. But I'm just saying, when we picked him up, we were like, "Oh, sweet, we're gonna have like a veteran cornerback on the opposite end of Tyson. Like, this is gonna be great." And then the season turns out the way that it does. It's like there's people that are excited right now about similar like types of situations that they don't know. Like that's how it's gonna play out for them.
Yeah,
And right now, it's like I don't fear any of that. 11 million in cap space or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, we could pick up all we need in the draft and just keep it a buck like that. Like it's fine. Like look at what we did with the players that we had, just last year. And now you're telling me that it's like, oh, we could possibly get Calais Campbell to add to that mix.
yeah,
We don't lose some games. We don't lose some games with Calais Campbell. And that's the that's the mark we're trying to hit.
yeah. Um, Something else that I kind of wanted to bring up today is, and of course, this is a moving number. This isn't set in stone. But DraftKings has released their over under win totals for the year. We are one, two, three, four, fifth. Fifth. We're projected by DraftKings to have the fifth most wins in the league. The league, not the AFC, not the AFC South, but the entire National Football League. They have us at 10.5. Now,
That sounds easy, doesn't
it does. It does.
it?
But as we all know, Vegas, the house wins, right? They always win because they just know something. They're good at what they do. And so even if there's a little bit of variance there, I mean, how far could we drop from having the fifth most wins, right? Like
Right.
I would say even if we're in the top 10, I'll take it.
Yeah.
They have the Houston Texans are second to last at 5.5 wins. Titans 7.5, and wait,
7.5
oh the
is
Colts. The Colts are down there too, 6.5.
7.5 is generous for the Titans, I think.
Well, if they keep Henry and Tannehill, I mean that right there, because there's nobody better. I don't care who you say or who you bring up. There's nobody better in this league at handing the ball off to Derrick Henry than Tannehill.
You got me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said I was going to compliment the Titans.
That was a good one.
Yeah. No, but honestly though, like there's something there. Obviously, they have so many years together, so many repetitions. There's something there,
Yeah,
and they have
they could do that
one
in
of the
sleep.
best wide receivers in the entire National Football League that they would never trade away in AJ Brown.
Yeah, dude.
The guy has Super Bowl potential. So him combined with, wait, oh, I'm sorry. My team just told me that they actually traded AJ Brown away for the
No.
potential of having AJ Brown.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That sounds exactly like something the Titans would do.
Excuse me. Dang it. So I'm reading Bleacher Report here. I just noticed they had a typo. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the AFC South with an 8-9 record. Pretty sure we won the AFC South. But hey, Tom Brady can do what he wants. Anything else of note?
Oh, the draft hat. We're gonna.
Oh, right. I don't have any
Yeah.
pictures, and I don't want to like screw up the layout here.
How bad would you do it? Like,
Um,
do you have anybody in here right now?
Again,
Do we have anybody that's watching? I didn't check.
we do in Twitch. Is that you?
No.
Oh, someone's watching us from Twitch.
What's up? What's up, guy on Twitch? Let's go.
Pump me up, chat.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, here I'll do this.
We gotta see these draft hats, man. I've made it a tradition to get one like every year. Of course, the Jaguars one. And my favorite one was the 2015 where they put the city skyline. What is this piece of shit?
So for $38.99,
What?
free shipping if you hit this code from Fanatics, you could have this beautiful piece of work.
Trying to decide if I hate it or not. I hate it because it looks like you could grab this thing from the corner store.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
dude.
Your local Jiffy Mart. You
Yep.
can't. Oh no, dang, Matt Briggs, dude, that guy always shows up.
Jags by 50, baby.
Jags by negative 50.
Yeah, negative 50 in the off season, but 50 where it matters.
What's up, Matt? Dang, that is ugly. That is ugly.
Hey, Matt is a Texans fan. For those that don't know,
Oh, yeah.
they are winning the off season. And not by like talent, by numbers. They must have grabbed like 20 something guys from the free agency. People that I don't know, like Case Keenum. Who is that?
He's a local. Hey Matt, I don't know if you're still here. Let me see if he's still here. Is he still here? I don't think he's still here. But Matt, if you are still here, question: Bryce Young. Okay, two questions. Are they picking? Are they gonna? Are they picking Bryce? So I guess. Oh wait, you guys ended up winning a couple games, so you don't have the first overall pick. So are you hoping for Bryce Young or are you hoping for C.J. Stroud? I don't think he's here anymore.
Dude, CJ Stroud
They're
was.
saying a lot of people are saying that Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud is going to go first, and then Bryce Young. But I see most like um, draft specialists, I guess, are like Mel Kiper. They're
Yeah,
picking. They're saying Stroud will actually go first.
I think so too. And the only reason I do is because, like, as a Georgia fan and NFL fan, I watch these quarterbacks, you know, more than I want to. Like Tua, for instance. Um, when he was at Bama, the hype that surrounded him, coming up to the draft was insane. Even with the injuries and stuff, and it was like people have got to realize something. Like when you're a Bama quarterback, you have Bama receivers, you have a Bama offensive line, and you have Nick Saban standing at your side. Like a lot of that stuff does not translate well when you go to the NFL, and you don't have like that max potential at all those positions. When he went to the NFL, whatever, it wasn't a surprise to me that he had some struggles, and I hope the best for him, but it's just it doesn't pan out that way. I believe the players even feel that way about themselves. They're like, "Oh, I'm the shit," and they're like, "Yeah." Anyway, so I mean, how many Bama quarterbacks do you know have Super Bowl rings?
That's not a good question
I'm
because Mark
just
Mark Brunell has a Super Bowl ring. Like there are a lot of players, so you couldn't say how many. You'd have to say like how many Bama quarterbacks have led
yeah,
teams
yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's a good
even
one.
to a championship game, not even the Super Bowl.
There's a one AJ McCarron or something. I can't remember.
Yeah. Who would be considered the best quarterback,
From
or who
Bama.
would be considered the one to have the most success in the NFL?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
But going back to this, like CJ Stroud did more with less, and against the world beating Georgia Bulldogs, like gave damn near gave me a heart attack. I remember it was New Year's, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we win that game, and by a kick, by a field goal, and I was like, wow, that was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. And CJ Stroud gave me that feeling in my heart. He, so he's definitely coming to the NFL, and at least um, making a splash in the regular season.
I guess Mac Jones most recently has had the most success, right?
Yeah. And again, like, yeah, it's not by much. Like they're
No.
average. They're average when they get here. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jalen Hurts, like a lot of his stuff, whatever, is because of his body size. Like he's a big body dude or whatever that's hard to take down.
He's
And
a Sooner. I
yeah,
don't care what people say. He's a Sooner.
yeah,
He may have played some at Alabama, but he came out of college from Oklahoma. So say he goes on to win multiple Super Bowls, I'll picture him as a product of the Oklahoma Sooners,
yeah. He'll go back to Oklahoma before he goes back
kind
to
of like Joe
Bama.
Burrow.
Yeah,
Sorry, Ohio State. That's LSU product.
yep. That's Joe Burrow with a Roux.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
yeah.
So NFL.com, their most recent draft by Bucky Brooks, they actually have Stroud going first, and then Young.
It makes sense to me, man. And people that say it don't, whatever. Yeah.
I've seen so many.
You one of those that think Bryce Young should go first?
Yeah,
Why?
I hate Ohio State. That's the main reason. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you, straight up. Um, yeah, that's
he has talent and whatever, but Like, I mean, could you see him going to? mm, Could you see him going to the Texans and like turning the franchise around?
I don't see anyone going to the Texans and turning that franchise around unless somehow they can get Brett Favre out of retirement. Um, I
I
don't
just
know.
I
I
just
think
say it was somebody that you could like build behind or whatever, somebody that you would trust for all those. If you That's a multi-million-dollar decision, you're gonna bring in,
yeah.
so many other pieces and parts. So they were just for this one kid. Do you think he has that potential to like return on your investment? I don't. I
I
don't see
think
it.
I think compared to
That's one.
other
I've never said stuff like this before live. I just want to say this now. If he turns around and makes me eat my words on this, dude, I'm drunk.
okay,
No, I'm playing.
inebriation is the answer to
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
my
Blame it on the
errors.
alcohol. That's always the go-to. You either do the 3 Ds, deny, 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 or you blame it on that juice, baby.
Um, I think for me, it's Bryce Young has presented a resume that's much different than previous Alabama quarterbacks. I think the other Alabama quarterbacks, it was obvious that they were a product of the system, a product of having outstanding wide receivers and a system around them. I think with Bryce Young, I think he legitimately has the tools, he has the skills, he's carried the team. That's not to say that he hasn't had talent around him. I mean, every Alabama team has talent at every position, but I think he's different. Um,
Then you got some like struggle wins against Texas. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's struggle. Everyone's it's college
Not
football.
Bama,
It's college football,
not
right?
Bama.
My Appalachian State Mountaineers beat Michigan when they were number
No,
two.
I'm just saying if that system was there, if it was clicking like you said it was, or whatever, like for other Bama teams, if that same system was going on, that wouldn't have been a close game. What Bryce Young, whatever that they squeaked by, they got some struggle wins, and
Yeah,
yeah, and that's good enough for college,
yeah,
But you come over here to NFL, those are a normal Saturday
yeah. And I think with Ohio
or
State, for
Sunday.
me, I think for me with Ohio State, they just don't have. They have, and they're kind of like Alabama in this sense. But I think with Alabama quarterbacks, people just know like, yes, they win in college, but they know that Alabama quarterbacks just don't translate well into the NFL, and they draft accordingly. Like most Alabama quarterbacks haven't been drafted high, except for like Mac Jones recently, who did have a really good first year, kind of fell off the second year. But Ohio State quarterbacks, they've historically have promised so much and have given
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh yeah, what was that one for Washington? Oh my god, that's gonna bug me, man. We need
Who?
somebody like Jamie. Can you pull this up? There was a Ohio State quarterback. He got drafted by the Washington Redskins.
Oh, it's not Haskins, right? Yeah,
Yeah, Dwayne. Yeah, Dwayne Haskins. Yeah,
yeah. There's so many Ohio State quarterbacks have promised or looked very promising, looking like to be that number one overall,
but
and just aren't.
question: if he goes to another team that isn't the Redskins or the Commanders, do you think he would have had some sort of potential there?
I
Because
don't know. That's
I do personally.
I don't
That
know. That's an argument you just can't have because the
I
reason they're getting drafted
that's
by
that's what I'm,
who
sa- that's what I'm
it's
saying.
hard.
It's not like not really an argument, just your opinion, your gut feeling, or whatever. 'Cause-
Well, I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence. We were a garbage team, and look where we're at now with him. You know.
but that's what I'm saying. It comes down to like people in the organization that make those steps. He was garbage before because the people in the organization were bad, and now that we got people that want
It's
to
true.
take that step in the right direction or whatever. All of a sudden, he turns his life
That's
around.
true. That's true.
Yeah, and I feel that way about Dwayne. Like Haskins or whatever. He went into a, if I get if it's like the best moment of your life, you're getting drafted into the NFL, and you hear Washington Redskins, it's got to make your heart drop to your stomach.
I
it's
mean,
a sad,
they do have Super Bowls. We don't.
it's a sad day. Yeah, but they've been around since the inception of
Yeah,
the
yeah, I know.
NFL.
I know. I know.
They're
I guess
called the
it's kind of
Redskins for Christ's sake. They weren't.
yeah, yeah. I guess it's kind of like for me personally, David Carr. Remember him for the Texans?
Yeah.
I thought if he was on another team, or at least on a team that could block, I think he was a really good quarterback. But
Yeah.
because he spent 95% of his time on the ground on his back, because his offensive line couldn't stop anybody, his career was nerfed. But um,
That's why.
unfortunately, we're in a league now where you put up or shut up as soon as you get drafted, which for
Yeah.
some is unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. It, it really makes or breaks careers like right out the gate or whatever. You all this potential is just gone now. There's no more sitting behind a veteran quarterback and learning the ropes like Aaron Rodgers did. And that's the reason why we have people like Aaron Rodgers. You know,
I don't know.
it's
I think
crazy to
Aaron
me.
Rodgers could have come out and still had the same career.
That's a big. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers if he's not sitting behind Brett Favre.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that. I disagree, but I like what you say.
yeah, man. I mean, like there was this there was this person that said like if you were a CEO and you fired a young Oprah, would you feel bad? And then you're like, yeah, I feel bad. You know, that's Oprah. And they're like, no, it wasn't Oprah yet. She needed to get fired in order for her to become Oprah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Brett. That's Aaron Rodgers to me, sitting behind Brett Favre. He's not Aaron Rodgers if he's coming in out the gate throwing the football on the field or whatever with some new team besides the Packers. You know, that isn't
I
the
don't
same
know.
guy.
I
That
mean,
isn't.
Peyton Manning came in, didn't sit behind anybody, and look what he did.
Peyton Manning is built for football. His head is literally the shape of a football helmet. There's those one in a millions. Yeah, I I
I
mean,
think Aaron Rodgers is one of those, though.
yeah. Again, because of Brett Favre, to me personally, that like you're sitting behind one of the greatest quarterbacks in the game, and you're learning the ropes. So you're not giving him any sort of like. I don't know if you heard this story either, but they weren't nice to him. Aaron Rodgers was the like they're kicking him around and stuff, and like because it was like a competition,
Right.
like fierce competition,
Right. No.
in
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things, and it was like so Brett Favre saw him as like the next guy to coming after his spot. He's right there. He's sitting next to you. He's warming
Right.
up and all that stuff, whatever.
Like
So it's
Jordan Love
yeah,
is
so
now.
it's like this heat feeling or whatever coming off of him. And but after a while, dude, they started clicking and they became they became somewhat friends or whatever. It, but like even if Brett Favre hates your guts, right? You're still close enough to like catch a few things. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like learn the ropes a little bit, and not be like like a Dwayne Haskins coming in to the Redskins, and I mean, let me stop saying that. Coming into the Commanders.
It's the
Uh,
Redskins. Let's be honest.
I'm just trying to because we're on Twitch and stuff like that. You know how they are. Anyway, or YouTube, whoever it is. But anyway, uh, yeah, but coming into their team and their organization and getting slammed on his back, and there's all of his confidence has just left his body. He's just gone. He's not Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State anymore. He's Dwayne Haskins from DC.
Yeah, but what about Trevor Lawrence?
So
He got destroyed his
so
first year.
so
Toxicity.
yeah, and again, man. I mean, some people like there's a mindset there, right? Yeah, and that does play an account. But if you look at some of the earlier press conferences of this this past season, you could see that drained out of his face. They had to have a new coach come in or whatever and slowly fill that back up. I want you to throw on third down. I want you to go for
Mhm.
this touchdown. I
Yeah.
want you to do this or whatever. They help build that back up, and that takes
Yeah.
it takes a village, especially with quarterbacks. Because if you lose it, if you lose your confidence that bad, it's gone. There's no getting it back. People are like, maybe this isn't for me. And once that starts sitting on their heart like that, and they don't have the love for the game anymore, they hang it up. And it could be as early as like their second year in the league. You've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah. But I just think, you know, and we talked about it. Unfortunately, we're in a NFL now where there's no room for that anymore. Like if you're gonna let your small pride get hurt and let that tear you down, then you aren't built for this $50 million a year contract that we're gonna fork over to you. Like that's just plain and simple. That's what it is. Like
Right. Yeah, they turned it
you
into a
can't handle
business.
that.
They turned it
Go
into a business and they took the soul away from it. It's a game that people love, you know, and
yeah
it's a game that people love their entire lives, and they want this moment. They you know, and people like organizations need to realize that more than anything. Like, what kind of situation are you putting this kid? I know you want him, but what kind of situation are you putting him in? Like, who do you have? Who do you have around him? That matters just as much, if
yeah
not more. And we saw it with people like Trevor Lawrence.
yeah. I think also there could be more education on the players' part because we do have to remember that a lot of these guys are like 20, 21 years old, so they've been coddled because they went from high school to university that coddles them, right? Gives them everything that they want and need because they're the star, they're the one that putting people in the stands, right? um, but I think there could be a little bit more education on, when you come into the NFL, you're part of a team, you're the leader, especially as the quarterback. But understand that you also, like, yeah, we might have bad coaching, we might have bad front office, but you also got to learn to take care of yourself. You can't depend on other people to take care of you, right? So, what does that mean? Maybe you got to go take some mental health days, go get a mental health coach or whatever. Like, um, and having been in the military, the the military even has acknowledged that mental health is like it's a legitimate thing. You got to take care of it because if you can take care of the individual, they'll take care of you.
Right.
And the military is kind of it took them a very long time, but they realize there's a lot of toxicity that's just built in to the product of being in the military. Um, so when you can step outside and try to take care of yourself, and I think that's probably some things that, especially like you said, like the pressure that these quarterbacks have on their shoulders as soon as they come into the league. Um, it's a lot to carry, and especially at a young age. But the team may not be offering these resources, but they're offering you the money to get those resources.
It's about time too. Like, time and effort. You got to learn the system. You got to learn the entire system.
Yeah,
But like, and then you got to go out there and you got to put that product on the field, and you got to have this supporting like system behind you in order to make all that happen. Like, it's kind of like Britney Spears or something like that. Like, going out on stage
I'm
and
listening.
everybody's like, it's Britney Spears. Britney Spears done this. Britney Spears done that. Not thinking about like the audio, the digital, the producers, the dancing, and all that stuff. Whatever that makes Britney Spears. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that gets taken away from it too, because like every single time it's like, oh well, if he just knew where he was, if he would have threw it earlier, or if he would have did this, so it's every they're not listening to like the coach calling the play wrong or something like that. That's happened before. Like, or like Zay Jones or whatever, being like, did he say out or go?
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's like everything falls on his head, and there's a lot of people that make a star.
yeah, yeah. I think if I were running an organization, unless I have somebody fall in my lap like Trevor Lawrence, ideally the guy's going to sit behind somebody. Even if I got to
Right.
bring in some sort of veteran that's middle of the road, he most if not all quarterbacks need. I, I I agree. Most quarterbacks need time to sit behind somebody. Unfortunately, and we've said it over and over, the league just isn't. That's just not the league anymore. It's what have you done for me lately, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
I
because if you haven't done that lately, you're out. We're gonna draft next. I mean, look at Arizona, right? They drafted oh, was it Rosen, right? They drafted Josh
sure.
Rosen, and
Yeah,
then
Josh Rosen.
the new coach came in, and the very next year they drafted uh, Kyler Murray, back to back first round draft picks. So
Yeah.
you know, what have you done for Murray lately? If you haven't done enough, you're out. So
I'm a big fan of putting a veteran component into every individual group, just to have that leadership there, and that's a part of culture, um, and those are the type of things that you need for not only on the field but in the locker room as well. So I mean, there's a lot of pieces that are involved because this is a team sport from top to bottom, and it's only not a team sport when you're talking about the quarterback. That's the weirdest part to me. But yeah, it just makes sense for those moments to happen or whatever. I think the norm should be them kind of coming behind and sitting behind veteran leadership, and it's weird that we're in a moment now where it's like there's more young quarterbacks than there are old at the moment,
oh yeah,
and it's like where did they go? Like they're in a couple of years there's going to be none,
yeah,
and it's just going to be young quarterback after young quarterback after young, and they're going to keep just throwing C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young into the fire
yeah,
until they find something
yeah,
that they want to stick with. And Lord knows how long do they stick with them. Like even if they start winning and stuff like that, it's like the organization will something would happen to them, and they'll want to get rid of the head coach or the GM or something like that, and he won't, like the current leadership, he won't start to build another thing. So it's
yeah.
just it's an entirely different NFL from the one that I grew up with, and it's strange. I started to see like how because people in the '70s were telling me, like this isn't the same NFL that I
Oh
grew up
no,
with, and now I'm one of those guys. I'm getting old, man.
yeah, yeah. I don't mind change. In fact, I'm someone who super embraces change. I love change. I've told my wife all the time, like if she were to let me, I would literally just buy an RV and we would just like travel. I work from home too, which would totally like allow that to happen. If not, I'd love to move every couple years. I just love change. I love learning and growing, and you can't do that without change. But that doesn't necessarily mean everything has to change. I do think the leash that they once had on quarterbacks has to be shorter than what it once was, only because the way that the game is played now, it's quarterback, it's a pass happy league, right? You can't win off of defenses anymore. So it's not like you can bring in some quarterback that, like a Rex Grossman who led the Bears back. Gosh, I feel like I want to say back in the day, but like 20 years ago, Rex Grossman who had Urlacher and that amazing defense, right? Like
Yeah,
Grossman was very mediocre, but they had such a great defense that they were able to carry themselves to the Super Bowl. That's just not the NFL nowadays. So I get like there has to be shorter leash. I just don't think it needs to be as short as it is. But it's tough. I'm not the one sitting here that's gambling millions upon tens and tens of millions, hundreds of millions when you're talking about like the whole product, right?
yeah.
So it's tough. There's a lot of pressure to win on everybody's shoulder across the entire organization. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what the league will look like in 10 years. Um, but yeah, so we are at 50 minutes on a week that is very boring.
We
But I
did a
think
good job.
we had a lot of good conversation.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
look, Nika 989. Welcome, welcome. Look at the Jets with Darnold and Wilson.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, gosh. And
that's
they're
when Sam Darnold said that he was seeing ghosts, and we played the Ghostbusters theme song at the
yes.
game that we played him at. It was so funny, but I was just like, at the same time, I was like, I feel for this kid
Yeah.
because it's like he's having a really tough time, and we're just like putting
Yeah.
it in him. Yeah, it's if it was funny, but I was like, oh man, this kid's got to be going through it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Nika said, the Jets have invested so much draft capital into their quarterbacks, and now they're trying their darnest to get a veteran quarterback. Um, Again, that's all about win now. What have you done for me lately? Now they do have a defense that kind of puts them in a win now situation because age and salary cap's going to catch up to him. But
it feels like another organizational thing, whatever. I think if Darnold goes to a different team, Wilson goes to a different team, whatever, I feel like they would have some sort of like semblance of a career. Like still, I mean, they do now, but it's just like they would have more. They would be a bigger name. I feel like,
yeah,
because it's like you go to the Jets, it's like again, it's like a death sentence. Sorry to Jets fans, but even they know it.
Hey, I'm a Jets fan, and I know you're a Jets fan, because if they hadn't won those last few games, we may have the problem of Wilson on our hands versus Trevor.
Right, yeah.
So,
I remember.
Thank you, Jets. So, thank you for stopping by, Nika. We had a great conversation, I think, today, even though there wasn't really much to talk about. So, any last words, Cody, before we close things out?
I was thinking like Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. He's been on so many podcasts talking about how he's been doing like ayahuasca down in like South America and stuff like that. And I'm just wondering like what kind of frame of mind he's going to be in. I think this might be like one of the most hilarious seasons for football that I've ever probably seen in my life. Just knowing that, because there's a certain kind of people that there's a certain frame of mind that you have to be in to like take those kind of substances. and it's hard to like, because it's all peace and love and being open and honest and finding your true self and things like that, right? That's what they say. So I think it's gonna be funny to like see somebody standing behind center or whatever with just so much love in his heart, playing one of the most violent games in the history of sports.
I hope he gets lost in the South America jungle. Nika 989 says. I hope he has another MVP caliber season. As much as like I think the guy is probably not so nice in real life, I love seeing high caliber quarterback play. Because one day Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be here anymore. Brett Favre isn't here. Drew Brees isn't here. Peyton Manning. We're losing all these. Cody, like you and I, the quarterbacks that we watched growing up.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers he's almost not even part of that crew because he was a little bit younger. But like Ben Roethlisberger, like all those quarterbacks that like used to throw the ball around the field, we're almost done with them. And I think Aaron Rodgers is probably the last one of that era. Not to say we're not going to have great quarterbacks, but I'm probably one of the few that's rooting for Rodgers to have another awesome year.
Stafford. Miss him.
He wallered in Detroit for too long.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs, baby.
No, I think Stafford is an excellent quarterback, kind of like Megatron was one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, but they just kind of stewed in Detroit for way too long, which is unfortunate. But now everyone decides to show up.
Matthew Stafford was in Detroit so long, just sitting there or whatever. I'm surprised he's not on bricks.
I liked him. I like his name. He's got a great name.
Matthew Stafford.
Matthew.
Matthew. Okay.
Ha ha. No. Well, I think this was another great week. Jaguars were being quiet, and that's the way that I think all of us fans like in the offseason, a quiet offseason, because we don't have holes that we need to fill.
No drama, no kickers getting kicked, no coaches getting fired. No like coach searching or whatever. Oh, who is this going to?
No trying to outbid someone else for a player that probably doesn't need to get that kind of money that they're getting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's great. So, well, again, thank you for a fantastic week. Again, here on the Jacksonville Jaguars Fan Battle Network podcast. You can find me at Jags Fan Battle on Twitter, also at Matthew G Sports on Twitter. Cody, where can we find you?
Cody Cole Gaming on everything.
on everything, including
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans and OnlyFeet.
Is there an OnlyFeet?
I wouldn't know. I don't know what
I'm
you're talking
signing
about.
up. I'm signing up.
Anyways, guys, thanks again for stopping by. Please check us out on all of our social medias. Again, we're the Jacksonville Jaguars Fan Battle podcast. We also have, if you go to fanbattlesports.com, it's listed down below. You can find not only us, but you can also find the Texans and all of the other teams that are part of the Fan Battle Network.
There's a Feet Finder app.
Oh, gosh. Okay. That is a great way to outro. Again, everybody, fanbattlesports.com, and check us out there, as well as every other team that is in the Fan Battle Network. Don't forget to download this podcast some more. Share it with your friends, share it with your mom, share it with your uncle, your boyfriend, girlfriend's mom's dad. We would super appreciate it. And we will see you next week.